All right, hey everybody, this is David again, here to talk CU Buffs football, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, the Pac-12 conference, realignment, all that good stuff. So thanks again for checking out my channel. Please go ahead, help me get to 100 subscribers, hit that subscribe button, give me a like, let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think Coach Prime's impact is on the conference as a whole? Where's Colorado going? Where's this conference going? I want to hear it. So let's go ahead and get started. Did Coach Prime save the Pac-12? I think so in some ways. And I'll tell you why. You know, at the beginning of this football season, the Pac-12 seemed like it was on its last legs. I mean, you're losing your biggest market programs in USC and UCLA to the Big Ten. I mean, this is just a couple years off from 2019, which was by far the worst year of the conference as a whole. And you really didn't know where the conference was going to go. You know, now all these rumors come out about the Big Ten trying to expand more, grab Washington and Oregon. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll get to that later. Or you talk about the Big 12 trying to expand and grab 12 more teams. Again, I can explain later why I don't think that's the case. But overall, the Pac-12 needed something to fall in their favor. And out of the sky, the football gods answered. And Coach Prime is now at Colorado. And overnight, the Pac-12 gained a new nationally relevant team for free. Because again, you had Oregon, you had Washington that can make some noise. Again, Utah is a very strong program, and they'll be playing in bowl games, but not the biggest national brand, I guess you would say, but still overall very quality program. But now they have a team that everybody is going to be interested in watching, at least over the next 3 to 4 years, you know, as long as Prime is in Colorado, which I think will be a long time. Now, it's really given, I think, the Pac-12 some momentum in terms of really being aggressive with their television deal. This has come at a good time to where the Big 12's kind of already made their moves with, you know, who they're grabbing to get back up to 12 teams. I feel like the SEC and Big Ten are going to stand pat for the next handful of years with where they're at. Again, we haven't really seen these conferences that large before, and I think it's going to be a little bit before you see conferences experimenting with the idea of, you know, going to 16, 18, 20, you know, 20 teams. So it's very exciting to see where the Pac-12 is, because they kind of had they have some cards to play in their favor. They have the ball in their court right now. And so what schools really make the most sense? I am so happy to hear that it looks likely that SMU is going to join the Pac-12 conference. Why? Number one, Dallas is a top 5 TV market. Of course, TCU is right there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area as well. But again, take it from somebody who's lived in Texas 7 years of their life. If you don't live in Dallas, you wish you lived in Dallas. Now, some of the hipsters might disagree that live in Austin, but again, Dallas is where the glitz and the glamour, where the money, where the showtime is. And grabbing a school right in the heart of the ritzy part of the city, it makes so much sense. And SMU is prime to be a big-time player in college football moving forward now in the days of the NIL. I mean, if you go back and watch the Pony Excess, I mean, they were paying guys the equivalent of 6-figure salaries back then. Imagine what that alumni base is going to be doing now, and really what they have been. They've been upgrading their facilities, and they're already recruiting like a Power 5 program. And I think it's going to be extremely important if, you know, losing LA, if the Pac-12 can go in and get another top market in the U.S. And I know TCU is just coming off of a national title, but again, in terms of, take it from somebody who's being recruited for college football, okay? Prime player. If you have the opportunity to go live in Waco, Fort Worth, Dallas, wherever the University of Kansas is, you know, which program are you choosing? I think it's safe to say that I'll probably be getting more exposure in Dallas And there's just a lot more to do. It's a really fun city. Now, I know that's going to hurt some of my other Texas people that are probably watching this video, but that's just the state of it. Dallas is the place you want to be living at if you live in Texas. That's just really it. You don't hear people say, I'm moving to Texas so I can live in, I'm so excited to live in Houston. I'm so excited to live in San Antonio. People say they're excited to move to Dallas or Austin. I mean, it's a cool city, but Austin's small. And Dallas is a big-time player. So again, I think this makes most sense. Not only are you improving the quality of the conference as a whole, adding another major player, but again, Pac-12 is going to be a lot more relevant in Texas now moving forward, now having a school there. Which brings me to California. Let's talk about Pac-12 needs to make sure that they hold relevancy in California after losing these LA schools. They do it with San Diego State. Again, large school, 34,000 enrollment. They prioritize academics and research, just like SMU. They've really made a lot of progress in that over the last handful of years. They're not AAU accredited like 7 out of the 10 Pac-12 schools are right now, but I think if they join the conference, you'll see them get an invite here at some point, and that's a big deal. I know it's not a big deal to a lot of Big 12 fans, but that is the state of the Pac-12 conference. The Big Ten and the Pac-12 really prioritize both the research and academia side of things along with athletics. And I think that's why you saw, UCLA and USC move out to the Big Ten. But that wasn't done just as a money move. It's because the conference aligns with their values as a whole. And I think the Pac-12 will continue to operate in that same way, bringing in schools that value that as well. Now, I guess we could get a little bit into, okay, so you're back at 12 teams. You add SMU, you add San Diego State. I'm sure their research budgets will go through the roof. Again, since Colorado joined, they're doing twice as much research as they were before joining the conference. I think they now have over $300 million in funding a year, which is just insane. And they're only behind the Big Ten when it comes to research by a substantial amount. I think it's $700 million for the conference as a whole. The Big Ten does a little over $1 billion a year. And then you have the ACC followed by the SEC. And it's pretty crazy. Like the Big 12 only does $250 million in average with research funding. While, like I said, those averages for the Big 10, over $1 billion. Pac-12 over 700 million, or close to 700 million. It's insane. And so I just don't see a merger ever happening with the Pac-12 and Big 12 just because of those sides of things. I mean, a lot of the schools in the Pac-12 have had issues with largely religious, let me correct myself, universities such as BYU, Baylor. I think it's dumb, but they just don't want to be associated with people on the opposite side of the political spectrum, and that's really just what it is. And so I just don't see it happening, on top of the fact that these conferences just prioritize different things as a whole. A lot of the Big 12 schools don't have all the different sports offerings that the Pac-12 has as well, like the Olympic sports. So it's just different, and I don't think it's a good mesh. I think if you do see the Pac-12 merging with another conference down the line, maybe it's here in 10 years with the ACC, because they align again on research, academia, but athletics as well. But I don't think that's going to happen really anytime soon. But I do think that the Pac-12 needs to remain aggressive and go past these 12 teams. And why is that? I think that college athletics, particularly college football, you want to take advantage of momentum, and that's really what it's all about. You talk about these other expanding conferences in the past, they've taken advantage of momentum at the time, and the Pac-12 cannot be a slouch when it comes to this. They need to make sure that they're getting players that are going to be relevant in the NIL era moving forward. And I think that has to do with colleges and universities that are in big time cities, because that's where the money is at. That's where the advertising, the partnership, the NIL, the donations, it's all going to come from. And so I think on another side of things, you're going to want to see SMU and San Diego State both have travel partners. What are travel partners? I'll give you an example. When Colorado men's and women's basketball goes to LA for a weekend, last year they play USC one night and then UCLA the next night. you want to be able to take care of multiple games like that on a weekend that are in close proximity to each other. And so, yeah, it kind of sucks if you're going out to Dallas for a weekend and then you're having to travel, back out to Utah for maybe another game. The travel can get expensive and it can be a little exhausting, to be honest. And so that's why I think we need two schools close by to SMU and San Diego State that they're academic institutions, they're respected, they're trying to grow in their research area of things, as well as they're good programs, from an athletic perspective. And so that's why I think Fresno State makes the most sense. For San Diego State, now they're not AAU accredited. I think they could get there. I have to be honest, I'm not really sure where they're at in terms of their research funding they do, but I know that they're relevant in terms of athletics in California, and that is what you desperately need right now. If you can't have LA, you need to have the rest of the state kind of cornered off and make sure that there's a heavy presence in there. Now, Tulane, on the other hand, isn't too far away from SMU, right there in New Orleans, and they're already AAU accredited, which is a huge deal in terms of research and funding, fits and aligns with the values of the conference, and they would add value coming in. Now, what better way for the Pac-12 to stick it to USC than bringing in the school that just beat them in the Rose Bowl? And I think that just makes the most sense. Well, thank you so much for checking out this video. I want to spend more time talking a little bit about this. I know that a tweet just came out as I was filming this about how the commissioner of the Pac-12 is kind of having, I guess, some issues getting what he wants in terms of the TV deal. Again, I know there's been some rumors out there for $50 million or whatever. I don't think it's happening. But I do think that they can get something around what the Big 12 is making right now, which makes a merger with the Big 12 or a move to the Big 12, it just makes even less sense. So we'll see where this goes. I want to know your thoughts. What's the future of the Pac-12? Let me know where you feel like Colorado's going to be in the Pac-12 this year. I think they're definitely going to be in a bowl game this year. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you're in the what you think in the comments, and go Buffs.